Thank you.
He did. When he walked out, he said, "My apology."
For tomorrow. Yeah, we'll note. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, carried. Are there any items of any declarations of interest? Any items of urgent business? There appear to be none. Now we've got a raft of confirmation of council meeting minutes. Page 7 first, that the minutes of the council meeting on the 28th of May be confirmed as a true and accurate record. Thank you. Thank you. A seconder. Thank you, Councillor Bentley. Any discussion, any amendment? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary? Carried. Now we'll move just at a moderate pace to page 13. Thank you, Councillor Stewart, seconded Councillor Donaldson. That's right. That I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary? Carried. Next, page 20. Thank you, Councillor Gold. Seconder, Councillor Serang. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, carried. And the last, page 42, minutes of the extraordinary council meeting on the 15th of June be confirmed as a true and accurate record. A mover. Thank you. And seconded Councillor Maxwell. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, carried. Are there any matters arising from any of those minutes? There appear not to be. Councillor. Pardon? Yeah, 15th. Yeah, you'd better. All right, so Councillor Tapsell, are you happy to? Thank you. Now we move to recommendations from other committees, page 45. That other committees, a mover and a seconder for recommendation from other committees. Councillor Rotorua Tate, seconder. Councillor Donaldson. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, carried. Yes.
Why isn't the policy in the agenda?
Because we already had it at the last, I would assume. Yeah. 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 Okay.
Worship, these are recommendations, not minutes.
Yes,
so.
these are recommendations. Just the recommendations carried forward. Is there any discussion? Thank you. And a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Hunt. Now, any discussion? Just for your edification, Councillor Gould, the link is provided in your report, so the link to the full record is in. Is it all right? Do you wish to take each recommendation separately? Do the local alcohol policy first? All right, all those in favour? Contrary? Carried. And recommendation 2, amendment of the footpath trading policy. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary? Carried. We move now to staff reports, page 47. A mover and a seconder to receive the report, please, for the adopt the long-term plan, 2015-2025. Councillor Serang, seconder. Councillor Donaldson, put that motion to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary? Carried. Thomas, do you wish to introduce the report, please?
Thank you, Your Worship. This brings to the conclusion the adoption of the long-term plan. It is common practice for the Audit Director to be present at this time and to hand over the signed audit opinion once Council has formally adopted. Unfortunately, due to the timing, he has booked overseas leave and is currently overseas, so it is unavailable. As well, he felt it inappropriate that one of his fellow Audit Directors who was not familiar with the with our long-term plan being present. So Clarence has offered to come to the next council meeting to talk to the council and to answer any questions that you may have on that matter. So in saying that, the audit opinion has been received, the signed copy is in the Hamilton office, and as soon as council adopt, that signed copy will be provided and inserted into the long-term plan. With regards to changes to the long-term plan that have fallen out of the audit process, the numbers themselves haven't changed at all. There's been a creation of a new section at the back called the disclosure section, which is linked to the audit opinion, and that includes the new graphs with regards to the financial prudence measures that we've talked about in the past. And other than that, there has been quite a significant amount of wording changes in the document, as such things as the mayor's forward, and just making sure that the wording is appropriate, but no changes at all to the numbers. Other than that, I'll have any questions, Your Worship.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Because we haven't actually received the audit opinion, we've received it verbally, but we haven't received it. It's in the office in Hamilton. Does that mean that we have to change number 2 there, just to say that we've received the audit opinion verbally or something and adopt? Does that matter? It's because if you look at this, it means that we have actually received and cited the audit opinion. So,
To speak to that, Jeff? Would we call it the
Yeah,
draft?
technically, I think, Councillor O'Kawatate, I think you're correct. So we would be receiving the draft audit opinion, which obviously is dependent on your passing of the LTP.
Thank you, Your Worship. I've already registered my disappointment to Thomas regarding the fact that the auditor is not here today, because historically, and again, I've had this conversation with Thomas already just this afternoon, one would expect us to have the signed document here and hence sign it off. It's almost, as I said to Thomas again, it's like they're saying to us, you sign it off first and then we'll sign it off. But I understand the fact that he is away on holiday. I've got several questions I'd like to ask, and sorry to bring them up at this late stage, but I did look through it rather thoroughly last night, and I'll go through them if I may, as and when we go through it. For a start, of the auditor's opinion, now first perhaps you could go back, I could go back, the section 3 where you've pointed out that there will be an unbalanced budget, and because of depreciation not being fully funded, we're going to have 3 years of deficits, correct? Can you just elaborate on that? And I'm just trying to get my mind around why is that happening over those 3 years?
Yeah, look, audit have required us to state it. It is one of their requirements. To put it into context, I guess when you look at an unbalanced budget, in one of those years we are 99.9%, we're $80,000 out from out of a total expenditure of about 120 odd million, so it's pretty close. So it is a very technical disclosure. With regards to the other 2 years, they are years in the future years whereby we're not looking to fully fund the depreciation expense of the organisation. It's not an issue because in those particular years the capital expenditure is quite low as well, and so it doesn't put any funding pressure on the organisation. The other one is, secondly, I think you need to take into account that this is a 10-year budget, not a 1-year budget, so you will have instances where you feel it is appropriate to not run a balanced budget. Now, to put ours into context, I can use examples of other councils in New Zealand. I'm aware of one council that is balanced 1 year out of 10. There are other rather large councils that are balanced 3 years out of 7. So it's not uncommon, and I'd say, and I'd make the point again that with regards to ours, one is 99.9% and the others are 99.4s and 3s, so not too far off.
We continue. The auditor's report, they raise a few questions about the 85% of the capital expenditure issue, which just raises a few questions in my mind as to their opinion of it. They also point out that we will have to effect savings and efficiencies totaling 56.4 million over the 10-year period. Does that match up with the figures that we have in our 10-year plan?
Those figures match up in that if we did do 100% of our program and were to fully fund it, that is what the difference is, and you will recall those discussions that we had. I think the issue that audit has run into is that audit actually haven't had an issue with what we're proposing because they've looked at the history and said, you're right. They've also looked at what other councils have done and said, well, actually, technically you're right. What they actually need to look at is that their approach when they audit these things is similar to when they audit an annual report, and that it's factual, it's happened. And what they've assumed that is because we've got 400 million of capital expenditure, that we would undertake 400 million of capital expenditure. They haven't quite got their head around the fact that not all things take place. Hence the wording that they've got in there. The wording is there and say that it just draws the reader's attention to it. We have disclosed why we've done that and the risks associated with that, but it does, as again, it doesn't change the audit opinion. I am comfortable, and I understand the reason why they have put that there, yes.
Councillor Stewart. Councillor Stewart.
How does, Thomas, thank you for this, but how does that, what you just said in response to Councillor McVicker's question, reconcile with the comment on page 48, and I quote, the long-term plan provides $19.5 million surplus across the 10 years, sufficient funding to maintain the levels of service and integrity of assets throughout the useful life whilst repaying $18.5 million of group debt. There will be no significant impacts on council services, capital spend or debt. So, I mean, I don't know whether that's a double negative or an oxymoron or what, but it's a bit confusing in view of what you've just said with the 56.4 million.
Sorry, that paragraph relates to the unbalanced budget in 3 of the years, so that relates to that. And I think if you read the audit opinion and there is that section on the uncertainties, if you jump up one paragraph, it makes it very clear that this opinion does not provide assurance that the forecast and the plan will be achieved because events do not always occur as expected. So in one paragraph, audit say that it's a forecast and may not happen because it's based on assumptions, and then on the next they've struggled with the concept of what we've done with regards to the 85%. Though they have recognised, and Dave did catch up with the sector lead of Audit New Zealand yesterday, and the sector lead did say that you are right, that they have to look at the way that they approach the audit of these to take into account the things that we've done here.
Question. We're talking about the report to the Auditor General, and I'm quoting on page 246 of the long-term plan. It says, in order to achieve this reduced level of capital expenditure over a period of the plan without affecting levels of service to the council, is required to find savings and efficiencies totalling 56.4 million. On page 84 of the plan, the council broadly outlines how it plans to reduce the capital expenditure, but at this stage has not identified any specific proposals to achieve the total level of savings required. And also on the opposite side to page 246, breach of Local Government Act 2002, as disclosed on page 245 of the plan, the council failed to adopt the plan before the commencement of the first year which it relates. This is a breach of section 93 in brackets 3 of the Local Government Act 2002. What's happening on the first part, and is the second part we're not getting fined or penalised, or it's just made a general comment?
Look, the first part is what we've discussed when we introduced the concept to council around the 85% funding, that we are strengthening our capital program reporting and doing a lot more forecasting, and that we're quite comfortable with regards to the mechanisms that the additional mechanisms that we're going to introduce over the next couple of months will ensure that we live within that 85% funding. And we did talk to Audit about that, and they were quite comfortable with that. But obviously, as it went up the food chain in Audit New Zealand, we didn't have those discussions with those individuals, hence the wording in that. The second one, with regards to the late adoption, we're all aware of that. This is obviously included to make sure that people are aware of it. With regards to the steps taken in place, Simpson Grierson is currently reviewing the position with regards to what we need to do, and there's a matter with regards to attending to this with the DIA, and we're working through that. Just so you're aware as well, we are one of 3 councils in New Zealand that has unfortunately adopted late for various reasons.
To that, Jeff.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just with regard to that note on adopting late, at the moment that's still being worked through. At the end of the day, there's a responsibility of the Department of Internal Affairs to make a decision as to whether or not the breach is material or not, and we are currently dealing or working with them to actually look at a way forward on it. It's not unusual, as Thomas has said. It's something that does happen from time to time with councils. The real purpose, though, I think, of the Act is really to look at situations like Kaipara, where effectively you are not operating outside of any LTP. In other words, you haven't adopted and can't adopt an LTP, and you're not in a position to do so. So that's when really the purpose of the Act actually makes a lot of sense. But this is actually more of a delay, and technically we're outside of the requirements, but it is just a delay nevertheless. I think it's also worthwhile to say that Her Worship and I also talked to Bruce Robertson while we were at the local government conference, and that was a very good discussion. Councillor McVicker, your comment about they won't give us a signed report until we've signed off the LTP was something that we actually raised. What he effectively is saying is that their environment has changed a lot over the years, and the pressure now on audit to actually take a much more robust and quite thorough approach is really now even higher than what it used to be. So in the past they would have perhaps been more lenient on matters of who signs off first and who doesn't, whereas today they really are being quite focused as to staying within exactly their parameters. So that's where you're seeing a little bit of a change. He also recognised that the process was less than perfect from their side, as it was from ours, I might say, and that we are going to be doing a debrief over the next few weeks with the audit team to actually look at saying how do we actually work over the next period to ensure that the sort of issues that we encountered around this LTP don't occur again. They're very keen to do that, and are quite open to the fact that there were a number of things created which were in their control that for some reason or not really just went wrong. So they're quite open to that effect, and are keen to say, look, we acknowledge it was not all great, and let's do a debrief to define how we can actually do this differently.
It's with council, so that's a good learning, so that next time we have a clear expectation and then know the compliance steps. And this is the first time we're reporting in a new process for a long-term plan. Yes, Councillor Donaldson.
Thank you, Worship. Just a small point, but I'm uncomfortable with the use, or I question the use of the word draft. I'd rather we use the word unsigned. Draft indicates that it's up for edit, and there's a signed copy waiting, and it's not going to change. So
We amend that accordingly.
Oh, look, that's splitting hairs where I
Yeah.
think you're fine.
It doesn't have a material impact. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it was. Yeah, we all got it. That's how Councillor McVicker was able to refer to it.
Just to let you know how I was going to use the word pedantic this is, that the issue for audit is that the audit opinion is on the LTP that they've seen. The problem for them, and this is what they say, is that until you have signed the final off, they're not prepared to sign the audit opinion off because they don't know whether or not you're going to make a last-minute change to it. So effectively, that's what the purpose of all this is about.
Have a material impact on the figures, and there are no further scripting changes. So that's a good reflection of what we're considering today. Is there any more discussion?
Can I speak on recommendation 2 and 3, because I wasn't given the opportunity on the 30th of June as I was sick, and I got a medical certificate to say I wasn't here.
Good, we don't want to relitigate. I know you were sick and totally accept that, but this is a signing off extraordinary council meeting. It's not a debating the issue, it's clarification and questions. We've had the debate. Are there substantive issues that you wish to have recorded?
One, the future. Yeah, this is a long-term plan. It's not set in concrete because the Victoria Expressway, we changed that designation from going through the long-term plan to cancelling it. So I'd just like to point out that items can be changed in the future. I'd also like to point out that we've got problems in the future with the Resource Management Act on section 32 and 32A, which I'm happy to table copies of those reports. I'm also happy to table a comment about local funding government, which points out, with the comments made by local government earlier in the week, that the councils may have to find other forms of
Councillor
funding.
Gould, while I accept what you're tabling, it does not have a material impact on what we're voting on today. This could be, we could table something new every day. You know, the risk committee, the risk report, the funding report, it just goes on. I think we've got, at some stage, got to sign this off for audit. I'll accept you tabling those documents, but they have no bearing on what we're discussing today, really. Yep.
What I'm trying to do is point out to councillors.
Yes, look, I'll allow you to table them for councillors who are interested to read, but it is not relevant to the long-term plan sign-off today. So you may table them. Right, is there any further discussion, Councillor McVicker?
Your Worship, just a few points if I may. Page 36, district development, previously economic development, and there's a few of those heading changes. Have they been formally changed at any level? Because I kind of looked and I thought, what's district development? When did we come up with that idea?
For you, Your Worship, we came up with that via a workshop, and I recall most of the councillors were there for that workshop.
Okay. Yep. All right. Page 37. There's a lot of new KPI measures, and hence the performance targets for the future years are rather meaningless if we don't have a current updated one, if you're with me. And furthermore, there are several, on page 37 you'll see there are several achieved over the future 4 years. That shouldn't be there, should it? If it's
No, that's to say that the measure should be to achieve, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Point out to you, Councillor McVicker, there has been
I know there have been,
scripting changes
I
about
did
how
apologise for
yeah.
bringing them up
Yeah.
now. But however, just one other one if I may. Page 154, remission of Maori land. Point 5, recognising and taking account of the presence of waitapu that may affect the use of the land for other purposes. Have we always included that statement in 10-year plans and Secondly, it's an issue that I have brought up on more than one occasion as to clarification, given the fact that I know that Te Aroha do not wish to nominate particular sites. And the longer that goes on, the more issues we will face in the future.
For your worship, the policy is very similar to last year. That's not a new addition. We did make some minor modifications, but not that. I'm not actually aware of any remissions at the moment that are applicable under that particular clause. But
I've just had clarification. It is an RMA requirement to state it accordingly.
Okay, to that end, have we approached Te Aroha, for example, and asked for them for clarification as to the X number of sites that we have in Rotorua, as the Auckland Council have done with their 3,600 of?
We wouldn't have done that now.
No, we haven't. I think the response really is that as we put up a project, we would be expected to undertake a cultural impact assessment where such sites are actually, or the presence of such sites are made available through.
Madam Chair, can I just add to that? And you will find that most of the iwi have their own development plans. They do have a silent file. There are some urupa and some sites of significance that are not widely known, or certainly not widely advertised for obvious reasons, I would think, anyway. So that is a silent file which they from time to time make available to the council, particularly when they know the council is looking at certain areas where that could be a project could be compromised if they actually go into those areas. So that's available. And usually, as I said, most of those iwi development plans on their own whenua, they've already identified those sites.
This is no change in reporting. Thank you. Any further questions? Right, I'm going to put the following motion, that we receive the audit opinion and adopt the final long-term plan 2015-2025 and point 3 that council run, and you can read it there. All those in favour? Oh, sorry. Yeah, mover. Seconded, Councillor Webber. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary? You wish your vote recorded? Yep. 3. Councillor Bentley, Councillor Sereng and Councillor McVicker. Thank you. Now we move to 6.2, recommendation 3. Do I have a mover? This is page 49. This is the rates. Thank you. Yeah. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Hunt. To receive the report, setting council rates for the year 1st of July to 30th of June be received. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary? Carried. Now, Thomas, would you like to introduce, and then we'll open for questions as usual.
thank you, Your Worship. Very brief. This is just the formal resolution that now enables us to strike the rates. The resolution has to take place after the formal adoption of the LTP. No further information.
It's come to my attention that 291 per 0.67 per household unit should be significantly lower because there are a number of people who are yet to connect. I just wonder if this will be one of the first challenges of our new Te Aroha partnership, to engage the people of particularly Maurea on the flat there, and in liaison with iwi organisations at Maurea, to get those people on to the reticulated sewage scheme, because they were the main reason why we went for a reticulated sewage scheme at Rotorua, was because of the fluctuating levels of the Ohau Channel that flooded their septic tank. So I just hope that is noted, that is a matter of, in my book, that's a matter of urgency, that those people are engaged to get them on to, and if iwi can assist with that, I think they should be encouraged to do so as a matter of urgency.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, can I just on those two important pieces of work, the adoption of our long-term plan and also the setting of the rates, I wonder if I could move a formal vote of appreciation to our staff. There's been mighty discussion on these two subjects. I've found it not always easy listening to some people. Of course, we've all got views, etc. But sometimes I felt a number of points were laboured quite strenuously and long at times. It was quite a drawn-out process. But I think our staff have done a very, very good job. Not always under the easiest of circumstances, and sometimes I've felt that often they haven't felt quite supported and valued in the work that they were doing. But I would just like to formally move a vote of thanks to our Chief Executive and his staff who have done the piece of work around our adoption of the long-term plan and also for the setting of the rates. Thank you.
Thank you, Wish. Just perhaps a comment on the LTPs, because they were a subject of discussion by some mayors at the local government conference, and there were 5 mayors presented on their councils and their aspirations and what the values of their council were and the benefits of their cities were going forward. But the Mayor of Waimakariri was the second to present, and he presented their funding, their debt profile for the next 10 years. Very proudly presented their debt profile and pointed out all the improvements and achievements they would make across the journey of the long-term plan. But they were sitting at more than 200% of income, where the cap is 250% for years, I think it was 2, 3 and 4 of their long-term plan. So I think our 175% is actually quite restrained.
It's also commented by Bruce Robertson, the auditor. All right, now I thank you for that resolution, Councillor Rokawa-Tate. Vote of thanks. Should we thank the auditors? No. We'll move now the resolution, please, that council go into public excluded. Do I have a nominator? Second. All those in favour, please say aye. No. Contrary, carried. Thank you. Can Phil stay? Yeah. You can stay. Yep. Thank you. So we're now moving into public excluded.